proposal. Do you think observing a minute's silence would make a difference for you personally or for the wider Australian community? Federal Opposition spokesperson for Indigenous Affairs, Linda Burney, is a member of the Waridjuru Nation for New South Wales, and she's welcomed the idea. Linda, good morning. How do you feel when you first heard Zali's proposal there?
Good morning, Adam, and thank you for the welcome. It's great to be on Darwin. ABC, once again, I actually have welcomed Zali's proposal. I think it's thoughtful and I think it's respectful. If people take it up, that's their decision. If local councils take it up, of course, that's their decision. But I really do think that there is clearly a growing awareness that the 26th of January is a complex and difficult day for First Nations people.
What would a minute's silence mean for you on the day?
When you go to many events, there is a minute's silence that happens at sporting fixtures. If there's been someone prominent from that game that's passed away. I've been to many Aboriginal functions where the acknowledgement or welcome to country has a minute's silence built into it to remember those that have gone before. I go to, as a local member, and you would know this, I go to many Anzac ceremonies where there is a minute's silence, and I think it's just a respectful way. And very often at the beginning of a session of Parliament, if there have been past members that have passed away in the ensuing period when we haven't been in Parliament, there'll be a moment's silence observed there, and I think it's respectful. And for me, I really like the idea because, as Zali said in the piece you've just played, there needs to be a recognition that wars did take place on Australian soil and lives were lost on both sides.
A quiet reflection of the truth of the Australian story, one might say.
A quiet reflection of the truth of the Australian story. What Labor is advocating, as we did last year, is we're pragmatic enough to know that the date's not going to change, and not advocating for that, but certainly advocating for a different way to observe the 26th of January. I don't have a particular time in mind when we could observe this. I think it's up to individual people to take a moment out of their day to think about it.
Multicultural Affairs Minister Alex Hawke says it's an ill-considered proposal which would perpetuate divisions between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. What do you make of that comment?
If Alex Hawke is saying that, I know that I'm on the right track.
In other news, Cricket Australia has announced it would drop references to Australia Day in promotional material for Big Bash League games in the lead up to the day. Instead, the day will be referred to simply as January 26th. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has called the move pretty ordinary.
I think a bit more focus on cricket and a little less focus on politics would be my message to Cricket Australia. I think that's pretty ordinary, but I mean, that's what they're putting on their press releases.
That's the Prime Minister speaking to a Brisbane commercial radio this morning. How do you feel about that reaction, Linda?
I find it incredibly disappointing, but not surprising. I don't think this is about politics. This is about Cricket Australia recognising, like a number of other national sporting leagues, the NRL, the Rugby Union, and I think Netball Australia has also done it, where there has been a real recognition that they have a high profile in the community. Australians love their sport, and they have a leadership role to play in leading and displaying and walking the talk when it comes to reconciliation within the capacity that they have. Cricket Australia, of course, is an enormous thing in the summer in Australia. I was very sad to see the Australians lose to India, but good luck to India. Just with the test, but with Big Bash, which is also growing in popularity, I congratulate Cricket Australia, and I think it's not politics, it's decency.
So you are supporting Cricket Australia's announcement to drop references to Australia Day in their promotional material?
I think they've done what their Reconciliation Action Plan outlines. They've got a stretch Reconciliation Action Plan, and that's the most ambitious that you can have. It requires of many things, including an external audit of how you've met the action plan, and clearly this is part of their action plan, and they have recognised that they play a leadership role in the country, and the Women's League is doing the same thing. And you know, they have a role to demonstrate what their philosophical basis is and what their values are.
It's almost 10:30. You're on ABC Radio Darwin. Right across the Northern Territory, Adam Steer with you. Linda Burney is the federal opposition spokesperson for Indigenous Affairs. How about you personally at the moment? How do you feel as January 26 approaches?
Well, as a Wiradjuri person, as you've introduced me, Adam, it's a day where you feel very conflicted. I've got a very busy day on the 26th. I'm attending the cleansing dawn ceremony in Sydney. That is every year. I'll be attending that in my official capacity as Shadow Minister. I'm attending a couple of local events, which are citizenship ceremonies in Georges River and Bayside Council. In the areas that I represent, I'm also going to a film called Australia Days, where I'm on a panel in the evening in the inner west of New South Wales, which is a film about Australia Day and what it represents. So I'll be also participating online with Yabin, which is the big Aboriginal festival here in Sydney every Survival Day. And for me, as an Aboriginal person, I really want people to embrace the extraordinary history that we have in this country of a human occupation of over 60,000 years, and that's the heritage of all Australians. I want people to feel proud of that. I also want people to reflect that it is not a day that Aboriginal people see as the birth of a nation. It's actually called Survival Day.
Linda Burney, good to talk to you this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Adam.